Heyo, Shebe here, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. If you couldn't tell already by the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about my ideal Hunger Games recasting. What's that? Why do you look so nice today? Well, I went to Costco and then I made this video. So out of those two things, which one do you think I got dressed up for? You were right, it's Costco. One should always look their best when going to Costco because you never know when you're going to discover your favorite snack food. And if you discover a new snack food and you're telling someone about it and you say you were wearing sweatpants, well, that's just silly.
Don't let's be silly.
So, this is what I did for Costco. Now, Hunger Games is by far one of my favorite book series of all time from my teen years. Suzanne Collins is a great author and I really enjoyed this work. I read all the books before the movies came out, and as soon as the movies came out I saw all of them and I was so excited to see them. And overall, I would say that the movies were really well done, and even the casting I would say was pretty good. However, I think that based on the books, there are some pretty big changes that could be made casting-wise in my interpretation of it. Now, a warning, I will be ranting a little bit in this video, and I will be going over some of the book details because I think that it is actually very important for the casting that we're going to be doing today. I'll quickly talk about the movies separate from the books as if they were their own entity. I think the movies were really well done, as I said. I think that Jennifer Lawrence is a fantastic actress. I think she played a really good Katniss, and I really enjoyed her in that role. And I even really enjoyed Liam Hemsworth as Gale, playing opposite her. As far as Peeta, it's one of the worst castings I've probably ever seen done. Not just based on the books, but just in general. I think Josh Hutcherson just played really awkward opposite Jennifer Lawrence. He just looks way smaller than her in proportion. I mean, not that men always have to be taller than women, just that he just, in body shape, everything, he just seemed a lot smaller than her, and so it looked really awkward, and there was no chemistry with them in the scenes together. Their relationship just really didn't make sense to me on screen, so I just don't think he's that great of an actor. The only thing I can think of when I think Josh Hutcherson is the Zathura.
No, nobody kicked the board. You cheated. No, I didn't.
And he was a baby in that movie. So there's my quick 2 cents about the movies. Now I'll get into a little bit more of the books and the details. It's one of my pet peeves when an author goes out of their way to write details about a character, especially even about skin tone, etc., that are completely ignored by the casting director in the movie adaptation. And that is why I am doing this recasting specifically. I will also be showing you guys exactly the different characteristics that are listed for each of these characters and why I decided to choose them. It's one of my pet peeves, though, when a casting director specifically picks someone who's white to do a role when someone is listed as being either racially ambiguous, is said to have like olive or darker skin tones, and are just casted as a white person. Because let's be real, there are already plenty of movies with enough white people. Like, let's just stick to what the author wrote. It was in there for a reason, and just cast someone that looks like that. Let's try to stick to the author's depiction in this recasting. So here's what I mean. Katniss is described by the books as a thin young woman with straight black hair, olive-toned skin, and gray eyes. And for reference, here is a skin type sheet I found. Notice how even though I love Jennifer Lawrence, she is neither scrawny nor olive-toned. I'm just going to read this one because it's pretty specific. We can assess based on the book that the people living in the seam of District 12 are of mixed race based on traits listed. Prim and Katniss's mother and Peeta are all listed as having fair skin and blue eyes and blonde hair, whereas Katniss, her dad, Gale, and Haymitch, and a large majority of the Seam part of District 12, are said to have olive-toned skin, black hair, and gray eyes, racially ambiguous traits that could resemble Native Americans, Latinos, Pacific Islanders, Southern Asians, etc. That is why I was super torn on our leading lady being either Shay Mitchell or Julia Jones. These are the two different routes I went. If it were to be Julia Jones, I think a young Adam Beach would be really well casted opposite her. You guys would probably recognize Julia Jones from the Twilight movies. She was the only female werewolf, Leah Clearwater, and Adam Beach was in Smoke Signals.
Hey Victor, what do you remember about your dad?
I think I used him in my Twilight recasting as well. I thought he would play a way better Jacob. If you want to see my Twilight recasting, check it out. I'll have a link posted here. As far as for Shay Mitchell, you would probably know her most notably for her role in Pretty Little Liars. I think she would be really well casted as Katniss. I think she'd probably be a little bit better than Julia Jones as far as acting goes, although I do think that Julia Jones fits a little bit more of that scrawny description better. Shay Mitchell, however, if she were to be casted, I think that a young Jason Momoa would be very well done doing Gale playing opposite her. Jason Momoa, I believe, was on Baywatch.
2001. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Come on, that had to prepare
my
you a
evil
little.
twin brother.
So that's the young era that we're going with. Now for Peeta, I'm gonna go ahead and list the description here of Peeta. So we have blonde hair, blue eyes, 5'10" stature. Josh Hutcherson is 5'6", by the way. So I think to play Peeta, it would actually be perfect to have Ben Hardy play Peeta because he is exactly 5'10". Who knew? And he has blonde hair and blue eyes, so you already got the whole package. You don't need to dye anyone's hair, add contacts, and he's a little bit burlier of a build, especially more than Josh Hutcherson. Am I right? Let me know if you agree down in the comments, but I think honestly he was the most atrocious casting choice in the Hunger Games movies. My last recasting choice for the Hunger Games would be Danny DeVito to play Haymitch. Haymitch Abernathy is played by Woody Harrelson in the Hunger Games movie, and I really enjoyed Woody Harrelson. However, again, we come to that problematic piece where Haymitch in the books is listed as having those more olive-toned skin, dark hair, and gray eyes. So I think even though Danny DeVito is a little bit more of a sarcastic and comedic character usually, I think he could actually play this kind of depressed, like serious role, but also do it in a fun, funny way that would appeal to the audience. As for people that I think were perfectly casted in the Hunger Games and I enjoy them thoroughly are the actor who played Rue, the actor who played Effie Trinket, President Snow, Caesar Flickerman was great, also Prim, Cena, and then from the later movies, Finnick and Joanna. Everyone else I could care less about. That's why this is a little bit shorter of a recasting compared to my other videos. So that's all for this recasting today. Let me know what you thought. Give this video a like if you agree with my casting choices and if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment also if you agree with my casting choices or if you would change some of the characters to a different actor. Let me know what you think there. Also, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content by me. I will be posting another video soon. I may be taking an attempt at recasting The Giver soon, Harry Potter, one of those two. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do next, but stay tuned. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you are interested in those ones. I love you guys. See you later, and peace out.
Are you coming to the tree?